What's up, guys? It's King What If here, back with another video. Now today I will be starting a new series, as I actually wanted to do a series for a long time. This is What If Deku had Salamander from Black Clover. Okay. Now yes, what if Deku had Salamander from Black Clover? Now Deku will have a quirk in this version. Deku will actually have a mixture of both his parents' quirks. So there's like there's like two what ifs in one. What if Deku had his parents' quirks, and what if Deku had Salamander? But it's more what if Deku had Salamander, to be honest. Now, it starts off in the hospital. The doctor walks in. Ma'am, I have your son's quirk right here on this file. What is it? Inko says. As Dr. Ochiko, as Dr. Ochiko, he's having a good day, which is probably why he didn't steal Midori's quirk in this version. But Dr. Ochiko would say, your son's quirk, sorry. I just had to do something. The doctor would say, ma'am, your quirk son is called Heat, it's called Heat Seeker. As Inko would be like, Heat Seeker? What does that do? The doctor would say, well, ma'am, it's a mixture of both of the boy's mother and father's quirk. Midoriya can Midoriya can shoot fire. Midoriya can sort of control fire, as he can lock it onto enemies. Now, if Midoriya looks at an enemy hard enough, he can lock his fire onto it and shoot it at the enemy, and the fire will move along with the enemy. Now, Midoriya does have some control over it, and the more he trains, the more he'll be able to move the fire. But for now, it's just like a guided missile, the doctor would say, as Inko would thank the doctor as they would leave. Midoriya would be excited. He could become a hero like All Might. Now, now, a few weeks later, Midoriya would be walking from playing on the playground. After he'd see Bakugo with his friends, Midoriya would go to say hi, but would stop because he'd see something he didn't like. Bakugo would be bullying a kid. Midoriya would just jump in front of the kid saying, "Stop it, Kachan, you're making him cry." That was a nice voice. Anyway, Bakugo would say, "Get out my way, Deku. You know you can't beat me with your quirk, and plus there's three of us." As Midoriya, with a small fire in his hand, would say, "I'll try." As Bakugo would say, "Tried," as they'd rush towards Midoriya. Midoriya would send out the fire, but it'd be so weak that the one kid with the wings would block it using his wings. Bakugo would say, "Get him," as they'd start to beat him up. Now, they would go for the kid again, but Midoriya would tell them to stop it, as they'd say, "We're gonna get you again." As they'd be rushing at Midoriya. Midoriya would close his eyes in fear. I never really understand why people do that. Like, move out the way, don't close your eyes. Anyway, Midoriya would close his eyes in fear, as there'd be a creature that appeared. As he would notice that the kids weren't coming to him. He'd open his eyes as he'd see something this size. Like this size, for Goleon's arm. Something this size. I should really just download this and crop the image. Hold up. Yes. I did just crop the images. Before I start, which one of these images look the better? Which one of these images look better? Like, think about it, or comment in the description. Does this one look better? This is like the original. Does this one look better? This is like the enhanced version, like, of filters. This is like the warm version, and then this is the cool version. Honestly, I think I like this one. Anyway, I'm gonna use this version. It's the original. But anyway, Midoriya would see this in front of him as he'd freak out. The other two kids would stop as all of Bakugo and his goons would stop in their tracks, seeing this in front of them. As the kids would be backing up as Bakugo would say, "What are you guys, cowards? It's just some stupid animal." As Bakugo would say, "It's probably not even strong." He'd rush at it as he threw an explosion at its head. The explosion would have done nothing. Salamander would have hit. Salamander would like headbutt Bakugo. As Bakugo would rush at it again, Salamander would breathe fire in front of, like Midoriya protecting him. As Bakugo would be burned a little. But, just a second-degree burn. I mean, it'll hurt for a few days, weeks, but still. Ooh. Comment down below if you've ever had a degree burn. I have. It's like there's water inside your hands, but it's like there's water inside your hands and it's just like heating up. That's how it feels for me. Anyway, a random lady seeing this would call the pro heroes. As two random pro heroes would come and try to stop Salamander, as Salamander would defend Midoriya. Now, for some special reasons, Ryuko would be here. At this point, she wasn't top 10 yet, because she replaced Gang Orca. But at this point, Ryuko wasn't top 10. Okay? So Ryuko, I'm gonna say she was number 15. Number 15 here, Ryuko would be here. Ryuko would see this dragon-like creature, as she would transform into a dragon. At that point, Charmander would become like this, but he wouldn't be full. Now, I'm guessing this salamander form is twice as big as Ryuko, so he wouldn't become this big, but he'd become as big as her, as they'd start attacking each other. And then, a pro hero would swoop in and pick up Midoriya and the kid and move them away. Salamander, seeing this, would fly to the pro hero, as he'd knock him over. As Midoriya would be on the ground, scared. Midoriya would be on the ground, but for some reason he didn't feel scared. They'd be like, he's gonna kill him. As Salamander would then revert down to this size. As, he'd land on Midoriya's shoulder, sort of like this. As everybody would be wondering what happened. Midoriya didn't know what happened. As they try to get Salamander off of Midoriya, and Salamander would grow back to this size. As they would decide to take Midoriya to a government facility where they could just keep him in there. Inko would come there too. As Midoriya would explain what happened, and he still wouldn't know Salamander, but it looked like Salamander was connected to him. Now, Salamander would growl at Midoriya. Not growl, I don't know how to say it. Bark? He's not a dog, so he wouldn't bark. I don't know what sound dragons make. It's like the equivalent of a bark or a meow. Anyway, Salamander would roar, as Midoriya would sort of understand it. Because if you don't know, Salamander can commute with its user telepathically, as he'd say, "I'm yours." Now, I don't know what type of personality Salamander would have, unlike Belle, who actually talks, or the other water spirit. But yeah, Midoriya would say, "I think he's mine." As they'd be like, "What?" As Midoriya would say, "I think he likes me. I think he's mine. I think he's mine to serve." Midoriya would say, Inko would be like, "What?" The government would run some testing and see that Salamander was rare. Now, the government would do some background checks, as they would find out this isn't the first time salamander was, this isn't the first time salamander was, here. Now, 200 years, I don't want to go that far. 5 generations ago, there was a villain who had this same monster. And then before that, there was a hero. And then before that, there was a hero. And before that, there was a villain again. As also researching, they would find out that salamander was a fire type thing, obviously. Now, the government would tell Inko that it'd be better for Midoriya to stay here and train with salamander. Midoriya would say he didn't want to leave his friends, so the government would work out a deal. 4 days a week, Midoriya would have to come to the government's facility to train with salamander, and also just train his quirk in general. And he'd go to school, but he had to keep salamander in this size. And the biggest he could get was half of this size, which is like as big as like Midoriya's head or something. Let's change the image. Okay, yeah. Yeah, as Midoriya would agree to that. And this is why I'm leaving this part off. Now, I hope you like it. I'll probably do the next one very soon. And I'll just record the next part. So I don't procrastinate. Anyway, before I leave, 2 things I want to say about this what if. 1, there will be other spirits, the other 3 spirits. No, the other 2 spirits. We don't know the Earth spirit yet, so the other 2 spirits. Now, they would have researched the spirits, and I'll just tell you that the spirits are some random spirits that choose their users. They're not good or bad. They're depending on the user's will. So that is something there. The other spirits will be coming in soon. And we have actually already met one of the other spirit users, but I'm not going to say, who it is, but you can probably guess. And then, one thing. If you watch High School DxD, shout out. You notice how Salamander looks like, a Dreg? I think I haven't watched it in a long time. You notice how Salamander looks like Dreg, sort of, like the arm? That's kind of cool. Anyway, hope you guys enjoy. Goodbye.